Hi, I'm Sharon Salzberg, and I'm here with my very good friends from the Holistic Life Foundation. Since 2001, the Holistic Life Foundation has provided yoga and mindfulness education for underserved residents in the Baltimore community and beyond. Through a comprehensive approach which helps children develop their inner lives through yoga, mindfulness, and self care, HLF demonstrates deep commitment to learning, community, and stewardship of the environment. Brothers Ali and Atman Smith met Andres Gonzalez at the University of Maryland, College Park. During their last semester there, the trio spent a lot of time reading books on spirituality, philosophy, modern history, religions, ancient history. They read a lot of books, politics, astronomy, and other related topics. They all saw some things wrong with the world, but it was not until Andres said, so what are we going to do about it? That they all knew they had to do something. What that something was, they had no idea. During this time, they also began their journey on the path of yoga practice. They began learning more yoga and developing their practice under the guidance of Ali and Atman's godfather. As young children, Ali and Atman actually grew up with yoga in their home, with their father having them meditate every morning before school. As Atman says, our parents were big hippies. They were into yoga, vegetarianism, and all that kind of stuff. I think I remember hearing stories about being the only kids at the barbecue with tofu pups or something like that. 2019 was a year of significance for HLF. Their staff of 44 served approximately 4,500 children in Baltimore each week in a total of 17 schools. Their ability to provide thousands of children with training in yoga, mindfulness, and emotional self-regulation encourages community-wide peace. They teach parents, siblings, neighbors, and friends. They really have a powerful role in my book. They were kind of my go-to people. I knew I wanted to really have that sense of love, because when I think of these guys, more than anything, I think about love. It makes it a little hard to measure, in my mind, but I think that's what they are really bringing above and beyond some kind of technique or particular strategy, as well as the techniques and strategies, because that also provides tools. So that the best thing about tools in my mind is that people can make them their own, and then they're independent. They have something they can turn to and they can rely on. So, hello there. How are you?
Hey Sharon, how you doing? Thanks for having us.
I'm just always so happy to see you, and someday the day will be when we can hug. I'm sure.
We're definitely looking forward to that.
So one of the things I say often in terms of writing this book, Real Change, was that the entire body of the book was actually written even before the pandemic.
Mm.
And then a friend was reading it in order to excerpt some of it. And I think he liked it. This was like just a little bit into the pandemic, he was reading it. I think he liked it, but what he said was he was so anxious himself that he would read those examples and he'd think, that's what made you anxious? Wait till you see what's coming down the bike. And so because of that, I thought, well, I better go back to the publisher and see if they would allow me to write a new preface so I could kind of ground what I had written in this world that we are facing. And they said yes. So then I had a little bit of time to write this preface, and the question I kept asking myself over and over and over again was, what's still true? In this time of like chaos, and this was even before protests, this was post-pandemic before protests, but I said, what's still true in this time of chaos and upheaval and disruption and uncertainty and anxiety and grief? Like, what's still true? Like, what can hold me up? What can sustain us, me? And in a way that, what can I rely on as being fundamental in this time? And so I want to ask each of you, like, what do you find that's still true? Andres, we'll start with you.
Um, I mean, it's a simple one for me. I mean, you basically covered it when you said when you think of the three of us, you think of love, and I think that you know, still love is still the most powerful force in the universe. And I think that whatever it is we're going through right now, with all this craziness, with the racial injustice and the pandemic and everything, that if we still could remember that, that simple tenet that love is the most powerful force, and if we can treat each other with love and see ourselves as others and as reflections of each other, and just spread love, be love, receive the love, I mean, that's going to be for infinity and beyond,
Ali?
I think one of the things that's consistent that hasn't changed and I don't think ever will change is that need to make change. I feel like there's a lot of things in the world that are still. I think there's a lot of light being shed on a lot of the problems in the world, but there's still a necessity to make change. Like there's still this huge need. There's still large amounts of people suffering. They're suffering in new ways, but people are still suffering. So that need to push and keep pushing forward and keep making change is still there.
Fabulous, thank you. Atman.
All right. So I think something that's still true is, I guess, the need to go in before you go out. And, that has to do with things do need to change, like Ali said, but it doesn't need to be a revolution. It needs to be an involution. It has to be where people are going inside themselves, and this break in the 9 to 5s and the everybody rushing around has sucked because of the pandemic, people dying, people getting sick, people losing jobs, people now they're about to get evicted from their houses. But I think it did give people a chance to kind of slow down and analyze what's important to them. Connecting with their family at a deeper level, connecting with their friends at a deeper level, and hopefully people had enough time to, dive deep into their own personal practice, whatever it is that keeps them grounded, whether it's, gardening, playing with your dog, contemplative practices, whatever it is that keeps you grounded. And I guess after you have that whole mixture of things, it allows you to kind of change internally so you can help be the change externally. And I think that's what's really needed at this point right now is people to look inside themselves to see what they need to change within themselves in their immediate environment, and then beyond that immediate environment, if that makes sense.
It does. There's this quotation from the Buddha where he says something like, hatred will never cease by hatred. Hatred will only cease by love. This is an eternal law. And I always looked at that and I thought that's kind of a funny comment from the Buddha, who talked about change constantly. Like, this is an eternal law. Like, no matter what, this is going to be true. And that is hard to tolerate sometimes, where you feel helpless or you feel ineffectual and just that list of problems, which is so enormous, and suffering is so enormous. And you think, love, I don't know about that. What does that have to do with this? Andres, we'll start again with you.
I mean, I think love has to do with everything. For real. Whenever I think about that concept, I think that, it's the unifying factor in the universe in my mind, that it's the one thing that holds everything together is love. And I mean, I think the Buddha hit it right on the head. I mean, you can't beat hate with hate. It's just going to be more hatred, even if it was done in whatever manner that you thought was like, oh God, I'm really angry in this, whatever. There's still going to be more hate, and you may solve the small bit of something, but then there's always that resonating hatred that's still going to be there. And the only way that we will solve any of these issues is through love, and whether it's you know, in our thoughts, in our deeds, in our words, we need to always be making sure that love is being manifested in all of our actions and everything that we're doing. And I think that is the unifying factor for all that there is. And he's right. It's an eternal law. He's so right. I can't disagree in any way, shape, or form. And I think, just to go on with what Ali and Atman are saying too, is it still has to start within. We always tell people that you need to learn to love yourself first, because then that's the only way you can truly, fully love others. If I can't even love me, how am I going to love everybody else in all things? Because it goes beyond just people, but it's everything that is out there, all from the smallest teeny little atom, right? Just loving all and everything. So I just think that he's I don't know, he was dead right. Kudos to the Buddha. High five.
Keep going. Well, Ali, I remember we were all teaching together at the Garrison Institute, which we do sometimes, and somebody asked a question about the system being broken, like the world being broken. And you said, you're sitting right next to me, and you totally blew my mind. You said something like, isn't it broken? It's working exactly the way it's designed to work. And you made the point that, look at how much money is going into the construction of prisons compared to schools. And so you work in schools and you see the consequences of that scarcity of resources. And you said, this is what it's doing, what it's designed to do. And once you see it that way, then in a way, I guess you were implying, then you fight the fights that you can fight, and you do the good that's in front of you and see what you can manifest, whether it's one student or one classroom or one family or something like that. And so I don't know if you want to say anything more about that. Do you still agree with yourself? I mean, do you still have that position?
I feel like since that point, probably even more strongly now than before, with the way things are going in the world and in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. The only thing you can change are yourself and the things in your immediate surroundings. And I don't think you can. Our teacher used to always talk to us about not being tied to results of your actions. Like, do the work and the results belong to the universe. So it's always been our way of thinking and acting and loving is to just do the most you can in the moment, be present with the people you're serving, and then just leave it there. Like, throw the results out the window. Just do the work to the best of your ability. Like, you're the universe's vessel for the work, but all the results belong to the universe. So, like, you can't stress yourself out with how is this going to turn out, because you might not see it in the moment. You might not see it. You might even see it in this lifetime. You know what I mean? But it's making a change. It's making a shift. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot less frustrating when you do it that way, and you doubt yourself less as a teacher when you look at it that way. When you just, I am a vessel for the work. I'm here to love. I'm here to serve, and the rest of it, the universe will take care of in its own way.
Thank you. And Atman,
Yes.
how do you deal with just ordinary discouragement and not feeling the futility of those efforts? I mean, we're so trained to see immediate results. I think it takes such a vast perspective to kind of land your integrity somewhere else. Like, I'm doing the best I can or something like that.
I think, like Ali was saying, like, if we tied ourselves to our results, we would have given up doing Holistic Life Foundation like a decade and a half ago. Because we'd be working with kids and we would see the progress, during the course of the week. And then in the weekend, they have to go home to that traumatic experience as far as like living in a home where Maslow's basic pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy, it's not met. So then they come into school, maybe hungry, maybe they have gotten cursed out on their way to school by a parent or older sibling. And then they come back to school and then it seems like they forgot every single thing that we taught them. And, because that trauma doesn't just go anywhere. It gets stored in their body. And, I guess that's why during the course of the week, they kind of get better because, we do a lot of the physical yoga to release that trauma that's stored in the body, then do breathing to kind of still the mind, and then, jump into meditation. But, there are some days where we would go in there and the kids wouldn't listen to anything that we were trying to say. And, we'd have to break up a whole bunch of fights instead of actually teaching yoga. So even with, a lot of the work that we do, like, in Baltimore specifically, it seems like that, people always throw us curveballs. A lot of the time, I think it's, it has to do with the way that we look, two Black folks and a brown dude. And, they try to, I guess, take the rug from under us on a lot of different projects. And if we let that get us down and reacted instead of responded, that's what mindfulness teaches you, respond to things instead of react. We would have gotten into a fight with a lot of corporate folks just because the way that people do steal your intellectual property, make it their own, and a lot of other things. As you can see, I haven't completely gotten over it, but I'm all about like what the Buddha was saying, man. Like, our teacher used to tell us, whatever you put out there comes back tenfold. So I don't want to put any funky energy out there, thoughts, words, or actions, because I don't want that stuff coming back to me. So it's really, I may voice my disgruntledness to Andy and Ali, but outside that circle, I don't really, and to some of our funders who are mentors to us also. But for the most part, try to have a poker face and just keep doing, because one of the things our teacher told us when this specific incident where somebody stole our intellectual property, he was like, well, you won't get mad because, like, don't get mad because at least it's getting around and more kids are getting exposed to it and stuff like that. So it's, I guess, finding the silver lining in everything and kind of learning from your experiences. Because another thing that he said is, if you don't learn from your experiences, they're like tests, and if you fail them, you have to take that exact same test over and over and over again. So it's kind of like not leading with emotion, taking the emotion out of the problem, dealing with the problem head on and learning your lesson, and doing the best that we can and leaving the results to the universe. That keeps a smile on my face and Ollie and Andy's as well.
It's great. Well, I was listening to, I was reflecting on this part of my book where I talk about the stories people tell about us, about who we are, what we're capable of, what we dare to dream or accomplish, or what our limits are, and how often that becomes the story we tell ourselves about who we are. And I was in Kentucky, and I used that kind of imagery in a previous book, and I was in Kentucky doing this thing for Bell Hooks at her institute, and she had read the previous book and she liked that sort of model, and we were talking about it, and I was teaching this class, and somebody in the class said, well, I don't believe that, I don't buy that, people don't know us, how can they be telling a story about us? And I said, everything tells a story about us, people, culture, society. I mean, looking at you guys, I remember standing, and it was a really cold day in New York City, you're trying to get a cab, and this damn cab, stopped and went right on. And I thought, oh God, that really happens, like everything tells a story about us and our worth, and I went on, like in that class, and in the book I said, I'm in Barre, Mass, which is the home of the Insight Meditation Society, which is next door through the woods, now closed and for the moment. And some years ago, we moved in 1976, and we always had like handicapped access, a wheelchair access, which was a ramp that was in the back, and you go in like a back door and then you're in. And and it's snowy and it's icy and stuff like that. So we thought, well, that's the wrong story to be telling the world, about who belongs and so on. And so they did this project to create this like really big ramp in the front, going up the front steps, and it's really ugly. It's really big, and it protrudes into the driveway, which is where the teachers, they have to back up by it, in order to leave the driveway. And I'm like a pretty timid driver. I'm a New Yorker. I learned how to drive in my 30s, And I think the staff was taking bets on how long it was going to be before I bashed into this thing, because it goes right into the driveway. It's like, it's not in and of itself, there's nothing much good to say about it, but it's absolutely the right story to tell, and so it was the right thing to do and to maintain. And I'm so struck by that, how everything really tells a story about who we are, and that we need, not only alone, but in a supportive community, something else reflected about us in the matter of belonging. So, Atman, would you start?
My individual story?
Well, anything, or just whatever, comes to mind hearing me say that.
I mean, I guess one of the stories that pops in my mind is where people really get us completely wrong. Like when we go to different community centers or retreat centers, I'm sorry. And, our pictures will be on the posters, saying that we're the keynote speakers and, all this and all that. And just because we don't really look like your quote unquote yoga or mindfulness teacher, people will come up with their stories, and their story is always, oh, you guys are the band. Where are your instruments, and when are you all playing, and all that type of stuff. And it happens so much that we started playing along with it and just told everybody that we were from Australia and we were Aboriginal folk band. Andy was on the vocals, Ali played the didgeridoo, and I played the borora. And we were from Uluru Rock.
Does anybody actually play the didgeridoo? I mean,
our buddy does, not any of us. We're not. Well, I'm not musically talented. But, I mean, that's a story. But I mean, honestly, I think that helps break down people's ignorance of what it means to be what a yoga teacher and a mindfulness teacher are. And I don't mind when people say that. That's why we just play along with people and tell them that we are the band. And then when they see us speak, and they're like, "Oh, they're not the band." But it educates people. If people are ignorant, they're not dumb. They just don't know. You know what I mean? And I remember when Ali and I and Andy went to our first retreat. I think it was at Garrison. And, we felt like chocolate chips in a bowl of milk. I hate to say it like that, but it was just me and Ali there. So I could see how people could get that misconception. But like, it's crazy because me and Ali's upbringing, everybody that we learned yoga from and everything were people of color. So it was, I guess it introduced us, or it knocked out some ignorance that we had as far as what it means to be a yoga and mindfulness teacher. But everything is just an opportunity to educate people. So, if people make up their stories, it gives us a lot of room to make them put new wrinkles in their brain. So, I don't mind it.
Well, I think, actually, I always had a kind of, I guess, pride that I began my meditation practice when I was 18, and I was the youngest person that I knew of. And then I met you guys, and we started hanging out, and I thought, damn, I was late. They were really babies. They were children.
We got out of it for a long time. Like when our parents separated, Ali and I didn't get back into the practice until we met Andy in college and started going on that soul searching journey. So you definitely were way earlier than us.
So Ali, I think one of the things you're also offering, let's start with the kids. I know you work with much more than just kids, but is a different story, that they are of worth and that their work internally and externally can have results, and that they're not necessarily the person that society, writ large, may deem them to be. And I would think that's one of the most important things you actually give them.
Yeah, and I think just reflecting on something you said about seeing people that kind of look like you and telling a different story, I think a lot of Black and brown people don't think mindfulness, meditation, and yoga are for them because they don't see many instructors that look like them, or a lot of people practicing that look like them. So it's definitely seen as like, oh, that's like a white privilege thing. But the practice is literally for everyone on the entire I mean, aliens, if there's aliens somewhere else, practice is for them too. You know what I mean? So like it's one of those things that I think seeing us and seeing the teachers that we're putting out there, the young people that have come through our programs, is changing a lot of people's perspective of what the practice is about. Because I mean, there are even kids that come through our program, little young kids that you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, and they say, "I want to teach people how to meditate. I want to teach people how to breathe. I want to teach people how to do yoga." And that's not something that even would have been in their sphere of reference if they hadn't seen someone that looked like them and teaching other people and spreading the message. So I think that's a part of changing that dialogue and changing the perception of what they're allowed to be. And I think we just try to expose our students to as much as possible so that it just broadens their scope, because a lot of them are connected to the things they can physically see and touch in their neighborhood. And then that's it. So anything outside of that isn't for them. It's just something I see on TV, or I might see as I'm driving past somewhere on a bus. But I think once they start making that connection to themselves, like that deep inner connection to themselves, then they start to connect to more than they see. It's more than just as physical. They see that it's more of a deeper, energetic, spiritual connection to everything and everyone around them. So I think a lot of those things that aren't physically around them become even tangible to them because they've connected to themselves. They can connect to the rest of the world, and then they can really just dream and on a big scale and do whatever it is they want to do. And I think one of the things that Atman, Andy, and I have been I mean, like, we're definitely about helping them learn the practice so they can take that inner journey, but also being a support to them, because a lot of them don't have support for the things that they want to do in life, and it takes a lot of support and a lot of resources to get a lot of things done in the world. So we have students that have done some amazing things on their own. Like, it's the only thing we've been is a support to them, connecting to the right people, helping them here or there, but it's been all because of their inner strength and their inner fortitude and that connection they made to themselves to the bigger outer world.
You know, and I want to add, I think just listening to everyone talk about these stories and this concept of your story and how people perceive you and the stories that are told about you. And I think if anything, one thing I would hope that would be happening is that people are being inspired by our story, that people are seeing three guys, minority guys who believed in something. They believed in something, they had a mission, and they were like, you know what, we're going to do this. And people doubted us. People hated us. They were like, what are you doing? Get a real job. What are you guys doing? Like, why would you start a nonprofit? You're so young. Like this, you're doing everything backwards. And, there's so many times, like the stories Atman were saying, of people doing things where we would have quit, 10, 15, like right away. We would, if it wasn't for the fact that we weren't looking for results, we were just doing it. And I'm hoping that children, adults, anyone will see our story and see, hey, look, just find what you want, go for it, no matter what happens, and stick to it, and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And I'm hoping that not only are we inspiring people to pursue their dreams and their goals and to be more loving, but also that we're changing society's story, with our staff, and that when kids are going into schools and they're seeing people of color in these roles, now they believe they can be that, and we try to introduce them to, doctors and lawyers and architects and people who look like them, to make them start understanding that, oh, this story that I've been getting from society isn't right. Like I'm saying, like, yoga isn't just for middle-aged white women. It's for everybody. I am sure aliens meditate. Positive of it. There's no doubt in my mind they're meditating. They've probably been doing it for a long time. That's why they can fly around the sky and stuff like that. But I think that's the key is that society has created this story of things that aren't real. And I'm hoping that, a big part of what we're doing with our organization is that we can change that story so kids can see that they can do whatever they want, and so long as they give it their all and they stick to it, anything's possible.
I think that's absolutely what you're doing, and it's been great for me to meet like the next generation, because I know that your teacher told you to teach teachers and that was the goal, and not just recipients, which is itself a good thing, but not to stop there, to actually train people to be teachers. So I have a question. Since you just said the word support, can you imagine doing this alone without these two other guys? And then I'm going to ask each of you that.
No, there's no way. There's no way I could have done this without these two guys. I would have got started maybe. I don't even know if I would have started, without them. Like it was with them where we had started having the conversations, discussing it, and even the ideas of going inward, and then to be able to struggle with my two brothers together. If I was broke by myself, I'd probably have been like, I don't want to do this no more. But I was broke with my two brothers, so it was like, well, we're all broke, and we're still happy, and we're still doing what we want to do. So let's just keep doing this, right? And it's something that I think all of us agree, and I say it all the time with them. Like we've had some ups and downs as an organization, I would say. You know what I mean? And struggles happen, and obstacles present themselves, and so long as the three of us are together, I think we can do anything we put our minds to. Anything we want to, we will achieve, so long as it's the three of us. I am no doubt that I was blessed with these guys in this lifetime. I've been with them in multiple lifetimes over and over again. So I know for sure, strong, no, there's no way I could have done this without these guys.
I see Hanuman behind you, which is pretty nice. The monkey god of India.
Yeah.
It's like god of service.
He helps out sometimes too.
He helps out. Well, it's good. It's good to know he's there.
Yeah.
So maybe that question actually doesn't quite apply to Ali and Atman, because you've always had each other, right?
I
your brothers.
I can answer you, Sharon. Well, these guys have been dragging on my coattail for years, and I'm ready to kick them to the curb. And I got this. I don't even need those two. Like, for real. I'm just helping them out, like, honestly. But no.
We've been pulling them down we've been pulling them down the whole time.
But honestly, like Andy was saying, like you really do need a good team to be successful. And it was just me, Ali, and Andy, and our skills and gifts complement each other so well that we're like a three-headed monster. Like each of us could do our own training and stuff like that, but we complement each other so well that it adds something a little bit more energy to it when it's all of us. And yeah, and then like Andy was saying, the ups and downs of life, and it really feels good to have two other people that have to pick their faces off the ground a lot, and it's not just you. You know what I mean? So, and then you can reflect on it, laugh about it, move forward, and then try again tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think one other way it helped was like it's hard to like the inner path is hard. You know what I mean? I feel like there's like as you're starting to change the way that you act and the way that you react to the world and the way that you interact with the world, a lot of people aren't making those same changes. So a lot of people that have known you throughout your life think you've kind of lost it, and they start seeing you a little differently. They kind of start distancing themselves from you. So I think having the two of them, as we were all going through this at the same time, made it a little easier. I mean, because there are definitely people that weren't really coming around when we were in our hermit phase, where we were just like, we were reading, we were studying, we were practicing, and that was all that we were doing. And people were kind of like, yeah, they've lost it. They're kind of weird. Like, I don't even know what the hell is going on here. And they just kind of stayed away. But the fact that we could share our struggles with our practice, we knew we weren't totally losing it, or all three of us could have been losing it together. You know what I mean? But it was just like we had someone that was going through the same things, the same struggles that we were going through. Like I remember we went to we did a TEDx talk up at Columbia, and then we had a bar throw us like a little happy hour we could raise funds for, and a lot of the people that went to the University of Maryland with it knew us in our the height of our partying phase. They, like, we told them what we were doing, what we were up there for. They met us for a happy hour, and that was what they thought it was. So they're like, well, what's this for? And then we told them that we were teaching yoga and meditation and breath work and mindfulness to kids. And they're like, nah, what are you all really doing? And we showed them the website. They thought the website was like, they really, really thought we were just making all of this up because we had changed a lot. Like the practice changed us a lot. Like it got us grounded, and we saw, we just kind of saw what was important to us. I mean, like we were at a happy hour, so they knew we hadn't changed too much, but it was just like they didn't know that we had changed so much. It was just just a weird time. Like people see you differently, so it's good to have someone else that's going through the same struggle as you, so that you know that you're going on in the right direction.
Ali, when you said, well, the three of us could be going crazy at the same time, did I get a picture of the three of us in like straight jackets, like I'm looking at you like, well, they think the same thing I do. We can't all be crazy.
You know what I mean? Either like we were all insane or we're all insane. One of the two. We're going in the same direction either way.
Well, you have, such an incredible vision. Like I also tell a story in the book about, the Insight Meditation Society is in that direction through the forest, and down the road is another institution we started called the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies. And I went to see it with my friend Joseph Goldstein and his other friend Sarah, and it was a complete wreck. The place was just falling apart. And they were both having this like happy conversation. I was like, oh, we could do this and we could do that. And I thought, oh my God, like nothing can happen here. I just had no ability to see it other than the wreck it was genuinely then. Like no sense of, oh, this could become this, or this could be held in a whole other way. And we left there and I said, please, let's not do it. Let's just leave it, But they were like happy, and we went and bought it. And it wasn't like unreasonable, like this is going to take every penny imaginable or it's going to break you. It was like, oh, this can be done. And they did it. And it's this beautiful jewel of a center, down that way. And I wrote in the book, as is true, like I don't have that ability with buildings. I kind of have it with people. Like sometimes I see someone who's just going through a terrible divorce or some situation, and I look at them and I just know I'm going to see this person again in a year, and they're actually going to be very happy. That change is so possible. And even systems, one can look at and think, you know what? This may not happen in my lifetime, this is like a long road, but you know what? This can actually change. There can be a sense of love that prevails in this community. And I think even if it's unconscious, that's the kind of vision you impart.
I think it's been beautiful because when we first started this, we had no idea what was going to materialize. And we saw a lot of disparity in the educational system. And I think it's beautiful how we came up with the concept of getting rid of detentions in school and having those mindfulness rooms in school where people can either self-refer or their teacher can refer them down there. And they can come down there. Our teachers actively listen and mirror. Just because we're not counselors, we can't counsel them. Do some breathing, do some meditation, ask the kids what they could have done differently to not wind up in there. And, it's brought down detention numbers all around the nation, especially in Baltimore City, the epicenter of where the Freddie Gray uprising happened. In that elementary school, it's been 0 suspensions for the past 4 or 5 years since we've had the program. And now seeing people duplicate this program nationwide, like we never knew that anything that we would have done would have been responsible for changing the educational system and how they treat kids who are going through trauma or acting out on trauma or have undiagnosed trauma. But, 3 guys that didn't know their butt from a hole in the ground when we were in college have really helped create a system-wide change. And, with the help of a lot of other people, I don't want to sound egotistic or anything, but, I know that we were integral in this wave of changing what it means to not discipline a kid, but teach them how to correct themselves and learn their triggers and who their triggers are, where it plays out on their body, and then having tools to be able to deal with that so they don't have to act out on that trauma. So, I think sky's the limit, and the system is very, very strong, but I think it's just consistency and having wise people like you and, other people who go out on a limb for you and back you up and give you some legitimacy. And, people are listening to us now. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think people just need to understand, once again, go inside, change who you are, and then it'll help you kind of see what needs to be changed in the world and what you are capable of doing, and just do it. And once again, don't pay attention to the results. Just do the work. The universe has the results, and the universe hasn't failed yet.
Bravo. Somebody tell the story of Janesa, if I'm actually pronouncing her name right, the little girl who was a fighter.
Oh, you want to do
Andres?
it? I'll do it. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at Ali. I was like, is he going to do it? He
Yeah.
gave me the picture, so he's letting
I
me
think
know.
I heard it from you, actually.
Okay.
I say Andres. It's kind of a joke. That is his name, but
yeah.
no. But I just did the recording of my book for the audio version. I did it upstairs because I didn't want to go to a studio, and I didn't want to go in the closet, which is what the publisher wanted me to do. And so we kind of converted a room into a studio, and then so for 4 days I sat and read the book, and we got to Andy's name, which is Andres, and the person producing it, objected to the way I was pronouncing it, and they said, well, it's Andre, and I said, well, no, it's not. It's actually Andres.
I love how they knew more than you when you're the one that we're the family.
So I actually had to write to him to prove it. I said, okay, I'll write to him and he'll tell me yours. So Andy, why don't you tell us that story?
Yeah, so it's about Janesa Brown. She's great. We call her Nene. So she's just a wonderful young lady. Her upbringing wasn't like, I guess it was like a normal child, I guess, in Baltimore City, but she had a tough upbringing. And she got bullied a lot. So her brother taught her how to throw her hands a little, right? So she was able to fight, but she still got bullied a lot because she didn't maybe had the freshest gear on or the freshest backpack and stuff like that. So kids kind of picked on her. And she always would win when they pick on her because she knew how to throw her hands. I don't know why people kept doing that, but one day we're walking into the school. It's at Robert W. Coleman, and someone must have been messing with her. And so she grabs the kid by the shoulders, like imagine two arms, and throwing them up against the locker room and like looking at him. And then she sees us coming in there. She's like, looks at the kid, looks to them, and she drops the kid, sits down. Well, she drops the kid and says, "You lucky I'm meditating," and then sits down and starts doing some breathing. And it was like, not only did we see it, but some of the administration, the school saw it, and it was like one of those moments where everyone was like, holy, like, oh my God, what just, like, wow. And even we were like, wow, I didn't know that meditation did this. No. But it was just amazing, the results. And she's now just a leader. She's been on a TEDx talk with us before. I remember going to a high school once to lead a class, and she comes in to the classroom. I'm like, oh, I don't even need to teach this class. Nene's going to teach it. She's like, I got it. And she led the whole class because we always use that reciprocal teaching model. And it's just powerful. It just goes to show how these techniques really, really do transform individuals, and they just keep spreading the love themselves. It's great. It's the love zombie effect, not the love zombie effect, the love zombie effect.
A new word.
Yeah.
Okay, Ali, I think I'll have you have the last word, and then I'm going to ask one of you to lead us in a sitting. So do you have a comment on anything, Ali?
Huh. Put me on the spot, Sharon. Okay.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's all good. I mean, I guess the main thing is making the change inside yourself first. I think a lot of people struggle with things that they can't control. Like, you can't really control the outside world. For the most part, like, things are in place. People are going to do the things that they're going to do. Like, you can't control the weather. You can't control politicians. You can't control any of that stuff, but you can control yourself, and you can change yourself. And I think if a lot of people went and took the time to take that inner journey, to see the things they were struggling with, to learn to love themselves so they can love other people, I think that's when the world will make a huge shift, is when that starts to happen, when people decide to, like, okay, I'm going to change me for the betterment of the planet, for humanity, for the universe. So yeah, take that time to go inward and have fun with it and enjoy the journey.
Thank you. Do we know who of the three of you is going to lead us in practice? You all right? All right. Or does that mean that's a signal?
I guess I can do a quick variation of the loving kindness practice that we teach, a variation of it. So all the breathing is going to be done in and out through our nose. If you're sitting in a chair, move to the edge of your seat. Have your feet grounded, back, neck, and head aligned. If you're laying down, just make sure that your ankles aren't crossed and your arms are by your side, palms facing the ceiling, and once again, back, neck, and head aligned. And we're going to take a couple deep breaths together. I invite you to close your eyes. And everyone inhale long, slow, and deep through your nose, filling your stomach up with air like it's a balloon. Fill it all the way up. And exhale, push all that air out. Push it all out. Inhale deep again with that long, slow, deep breath, filling your stomach up with air like it's a balloon. And exhale, push all that air out. Push it all out. Inhale deep one more time with that long, slow, deep breath, filling your stomach up with air like it's a balloon. Fill it all the way up. And exhale, push all that air out. Push it all out. Now you all can just breathe on your own at a nice natural pace. Don't put any effort into it. Just make sure you're breathing in and out through your nose. And we're going to start using our imaginations. With every inhale, we want to feel and see ourselves pulling in all the positive energy that the earth has to offer us inside our body with that in-breath. Whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel and see yourself pushing out the negativity from within, any stress, any anger, any jealousy, any regret, any sicknesses or ailments, anything at all that you know that's inside of you that's not healthy for you. Once again, we're going to use our imaginations and see and feel it leave our body with the breath. There is no wrong or right way. There is just the way that you're doing it. So once again, on that inhale, pulling in that positive energy from the earth, and on that exhale, pushing out that negativity from within. Once again, any stress, any anger, jealousy, regret, sicknesses, or ailments. See it all and feel it all leave your body with the breath. Once again, whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you breathe. All right, we're going to use our imaginations again. And this time, with every inhale, we want to feel and see ourselves pulling in all the healing oxygen from the trees, plants, and bodies of water. And we want to feel and see it energize and replenish our internal muscles, bones, and organs. So with that inhale, really feel and see that happen. And on the exhale, we want to feel and see ourselves pushing out all the stale carbon dioxide, feeding the trees and plants that gave us oxygen. So once again, on that inhale, pulling in that healing oxygen from the trees, plants, and bodies of water, energizing and replenishing our internal muscles, bones, and organs. And with every exhale, pushing out the stale carbon dioxide, feeding the trees and plants that gave us oxygen. Once again, whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you breathe. All right, we're going to use our imaginations again. And this time, we're going to think about all those people that we love, whether it's our family or friends, no matter how far away they live, no matter if they're living or not. Love knows no boundaries. So with our breath, we're sending our loved ones love with that breath. Once again, whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you breathe, sending your loved ones love with your breath. Once again, no matter how far away they live, no matter if they're living or not, love has absolutely no boundaries. So with your breath, send your loved ones love. All right, we're going to use our imaginations again. And this time we're going to focus on all those people that stress us out or make us angry, whether it's family or friends, co-workers or clients, people in our community, politicians, whoever it is that gets under your skin and makes you angry or stressed out. We're going to send them love with our breath as well. Even though they stress you out and make you angry, they probably need love more than anyone else. And we all know the rule, whatever we put out there comes back tenfold. So always lead with love. So with our breath, once again, we're sending love to those people that stress us out or make us angry. We're sending them love with our breath. It's a great way to evict people from renting space in your mind, or it's a great release. So once again, with our breath, sending love to those people that stress us out or make us angry with our breath. All right, we're going to use our imaginations again. And you know we've sent love to people that we love, and we sent love to people that stress us out. Now it's time to send love to the most important person in your life, and that's yourself. If you start with that inner foundation full of self-love and taking care of yourself, it makes it that much easier to love and take care of others going forward without burning yourself out. So with our breath, we're going to send ourselves our true self-love with our breath. Once again, whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you breathe, filling your inner foundation up with self-love, and you're breathing that self-love into yourself. And if you do get distracted by a thought or a sound or a sensation, just know that's normal. That's the nature of the human mind. Don't beat yourself up. Just redirect yourself back to that breath. And once again, sending your self-love, your true self-love with your breath. All right, we're going to use our imaginations again. And this time with our breath, we're going to send love to planet Earth, or Mother Earth, and all the inhabitants that reside within, whether it's the animals, the plants, the humans, inanimate objects, anything at all that resides on planet Earth and planet Earth herself. We're going to send love with our breath. Once again, whatever that looks and feels like to you, feel and see that as you breathe. Sending Mother Earth or planet Earth, love, and all the inhabitants that reside within, sending them all love with our breath. All right, we're going to slowly bring ourselves away from the breath and back to our bodies. So we can start off just by wiggling our toes. You can wiggle your fingers. You can roll your ankles and wrists. You can do a neck roll both ways just to stretch your neck out if you're sitting up. If you're laying down, you can touch both ears to either side of the ground or act like you're listening to the ground to stretch your neck out. And whenever you get ready, you can slowly blink your eyes open and come back to your senses.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. It's really great. I want to close with a quotation, actually from Atman, from my book, and then just thank you. So, Atman Smith from the Holistic Life Foundation works with school children using yoga, mindfulness, exposure to nature, and other tools in his hometown of Baltimore. Once HLF, or Holistic Life Foundation, gives the kids tools to care for and value themselves, Atman says, inevitably they begin to care for and value others. You can't ask a kid or anyone who doesn't love themselves yet to care about somebody sitting next to them, or somebody halfway across the world, or their community, or the planet, or anything, because they're in a hopeless, angry situation where they're not connected to anything. It's beautiful to see, though, that once they connect to themselves, a light bulb goes off like, oh, okay, there is something more to this. And they start to see themselves in other people, and they start to care more, and they start to do more, and it just changes them from the core, and it starts to ripple out. They start to care about themselves and their families and their friends and their neighborhood and everything all together on a bigger scale. So if love is the strongest force in the universe and hatred will never cease by hatred, it will only cease by love, here's the path, right? here's actually a way to make it real and not just a saying that we hold. So I see Hanuman behind you, or is it Ganesh? Can't quite see who's behind you, Atman.
Ganesh is behind me.
It's Ganesh. Okay, so we've got
I try to
our
remove
second
all the
deity here.
Yeah, I try to remove all the obstacles from my life because they come a mile a minute.
That's Ganesh, who's I don't know, you'd call him the elephant god maybe, because he does bring luck. He brings the removal of obstacles. So, all right.
Love you, Sharon. Thank you so
I
much.
love you too. I love you all. And I feel like we have to get Ali something for his ceiling. That's like a Hindu god or goddess.
I've got stuff all over the house, Sharon.
Okay.
Don't see the next camera angle. That's all.
Really, thank you so much. Thank you for all your gifts, and thank
Thank
you for everything you do.
Good
All
night,
right.
Good night.
Okay.
Big hugs, virtual hug.
Yes, and someday.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay,
Love you so
thank
much,
you.
and can't wait till we can all be in Puerto Rico again.
I know, wouldn't that be great?